If you grew up being told to skip the butter and grab the tub with a sunny heart on the label, you're not alone. For decades, butter bad, margarine good was repeated so often it felt like a law of nature. But when we actually look at what's in many spreads, how they're made, what they replace, and how our bodies change after 60, the story gets more nuanced. Some choices quietly nudge inflammation, digestion, and brain energy in the wrong direction. Others, in small daily amounts, can support hormones, nutrient absorption, and steady energy. Today, I'll walk you through 4 butter or butter-like products worth rethinking, and 4 that can be smart, satisfying allies. We'll rank them, but we'll do it responsibly. No fear, no hype, just what helps you feel and function better. And yes, I'll share one sleeper pick most shoppers overlook that can help support a healthy gut barrier without expensive powders. Stick with me, because tiny swaps at breakfast can ripple through your day in the best way. Let's start with a category that looks harmless, because it feels light. Whipped butter blends. The pitch is clever. Same flavor, fewer calories, spreads like a dream. The catch? That airy texture usually comes from a combination of water and added emulsifiers or stabilizers like mono and diglycerides or polysorbates, so the product doesn't separate in the tub. Are those ingredients poison? No. But here's what matters for older adults. As digestion slows with age and guts become a bit more sensitive, some emulsifiers are being investigated for how they might change the gut environment in susceptible people. If you notice bloating, irregularity, or that heavy after meals feeling, a daily dose of ultra-processed spreads can be one puzzle piece. Easy fixes. Keep a small amount of real butter in a covered dish so it's spreadable at room temp. Grate cold butter over toast so it melts instantly. Or make a simple 2-ingredient spread at home by blending soft butter with a touch of olive oil and a pinch of salt. No extra additives required. Next up, margarines and spreads fortified with plant sterols or stanols. You'll see heart icons and claims about lowering LDL, and it's true. Plant sterols can reduce LDL cholesterol numbers for many people. However, context matters. Sterols can also compete with certain fat-soluble nutrients for absorption, and while the effect is usually modest, it may be more relevant if you already struggle to keep vitamins A, D, E, and K in a healthy range, or you have bone density concerns. If your clinician recommends sterol spreads, consider timing. Take any fat-soluble vitamins with a meal that doesn't include the sterol spread. Better yet, pair or substitute with foods naturally rich in soluble fiber: oats, beans, ground flaxseed, psyllium, apples, because they help trap cholesterol in the gut without getting in the way of vitamin absorption. You can also combine small, sustainable changes: more fiber, more movement, consistent sleep, and modest use of a quality oil or butter at meals. The big idea here isn't to villainize a tool that can lower LDL. It's to use it thoughtfully and not at the expense of other nutrients your bones, eyes, skin, and immune system need. Let's talk olive oil spreads. The imagery is a sunlit grove and Mediterranean promise, but always flip the tub and read the list. In many products, olive oil is only a minor ingredient after water and cheaper seed oils. That's not inherently dangerous, but it's not the same as using real extra virgin olive oil. The science behind Mediterranean-style eating centers on whole foods and minimally processed fats, like authentic extra virgin olive oil drizzled after cooking, rather than manufactured blends engineered to be semi-solid in the fridge. If you want the flavor and spreadability, make your own. Mix softened grass-fed butter with good extra virgin olive oil in equal parts, and add a pinch of sea salt. You get a silky texture with actual EVO benefits: aromas, polyphenols, and satisfaction, minus unnecessary thickeners. Pro tip: buy olive oil in dark glass, look for harvest dates when you can, and use it liberally on cooked vegetables, beans, fish, and salads. Save the high heat for more heat-stable fats. That simple adjustment preserves olive oil's best compounds and keeps your kitchen routines aligned with what truly makes Mediterranean patterns protective. Now for the biggest diet culture trap: low-fat, light, or butter-like substitutes that promise flavor with half the calories. To mimic body and spreadability without fat, manufacturers often lean on starches, gums, and sometimes sweeteners. For many older adults, that can mean less satisfaction, a quicker return of hunger, and unpredictable blood sugar responses, especially if maltodextrin or similar ingredients appear high on the label. There's also a practical physiology point. You need some fat in a meal to help absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K, and to build hormones that keep mood and metabolism steady. In real life, a modest teaspoon of true butter on warm vegetables can leave you more satisfied than a generous smear of a low-fat substitute, and it helps your body actually use the nutrients in those vegetables. If weight is a concern, portion size, not extreme fat avoidance, wins over time. Combine small amounts of quality fat with fiber-rich foods, protein, and movement. You'll feel steadier, and less won't backfire into more later. Okay, the avoid and rethink list is out of the way. What should actually live in your kitchen? Let's start with a delicious upgrade: cultured grass-fed butter. This is butter that's been fermented with live cultures before churning, giving it a tangy, almost cheese-like depth. That fermentation can change the flavor and the fat profile slightly, and milk from grass-fed cows tends to carry more fat-soluble vitamins and naturally occurring compounds like vitamin K2 in small amounts compared with conventional. Butyrate, the short-chain fatty acid you hear about for colon health, exists in butter in small amounts. Your gut bacteria make most of it from fiber, but every bit helps. The practical win is simple. Cultured butter makes vegetables taste wonderful, which means you're more likely to eat them. Use it after cooking so delicate compounds in your greens, carrots, or squash aren't overwhelmed by high heat. A small pat on warm veggies, whole grains, or a sweet potato can turn should into want. And when food is satisfying, it gets easier to stick with the healthy stuff day after day. If dairy proteins bother you, or you want a stable fat for higher heat cooking, ghee is your friend. Ghee is clarified butter. The milk solids are removed, leaving mostly pure butterfat with a rich, nutty flavor. Without much lactose or casein, many people who feel puffy or congested with regular dairy do better with ghee, though severe dairy allergies still require care. Because ghee tolerates heat well, it's an excellent choice for sautéing vegetables, scrambling eggs, or searing fish without smoking up the kitchen. A little goes a long way. Warm a teaspoon with turmeric, cumin, or black pepper to bloom the spices and drizzle over lentils or roasted cauliflower. If you love morning coffee or tea, a tiny swirl of ghee can add creaminess and extend satiety without a sugar crash. Remember, clarified doesn't mean limitless. Keep portions modest, pair with fiber, and let ghee serve as a tool, not the star, so you get flavor and steadiness without overdoing calories. Quick pulse check. If this is useful, take a moment to subscribe to Senior Vitality Pro and tell me your age or where you're watching from in the comments. I read them, and I use your answers to shape future topics, so the next video is even more dialed in to your needs. Now, about that sleeper pick most people pass by: European-style, higher-fat cultured butter from grass-fed or pasture-raised cows. It's not raw, it is pasteurized, so it avoids the food safety concerns older adults face with unpasteurized dairy. European-style butter typically has a higher butterfat percentage and less water, which means more flavor per teaspoon and better performance for finishing dishes. That stronger flavor is a gift for portion control. A thin slice over steamed broccoli or on whole grain toast can feel indulgent without turning into a slab. Many brands also rely on simple ingredient lists, cream and cultures, so you sidestep a lot of extras. If you're curious about vitamin K2, Know that grass-fed dairy may contain small amounts. For meaningful K2, aged cheeses and fermented foods like natto are richer sources. Consider this butter your make the healthy stuff taste great tool. When vegetables, legumes, and whole grains are delicious, your heart, brain, and joints all benefit indirectly because you stick with the pattern long term. You may be wondering about raw butter, especially if a farmer's market vendor swears by it. I appreciate the tradition and flavor, but we need to be clear and careful. Unpasteurized dairy can carry pathogens that are especially risky for older adults, anyone with a compromised immune system, and those with chronic conditions. For that reason, many public health agencies advise people over 65 to choose pasteurized dairy. If you love the idea of living foods, a safer path is pasteurized cultured butter, plain yogurt with live cultures, kefir, and aged cheeses made from pasteurized milk. You'll get that tangy complexity and, in the case of yogurt and kefir, beneficial bacteria, without taking on the infection risk that can send you to the hospital. Food should build you up, not scare you. So if you hear glowing claims about raw butter reversing this or that, weigh them against the very real safety considerations for our age group. Flavor and comfort? Yes. Unnecessary risk? No. Thank you. There's one more modern option you'll see popping up. Butter that's fortified with vitamin D and/or vitamin K2. Think of these as foods that moonlight as supplements. They can be convenient if your clinician has suggested these nutrients and you prefer to take them with meals. A few practical rules. Read labels carefully to know exactly how much you're getting per tablespoon. Keep a running tally with other supplements so you don't overshoot. And if you're on anticoagulant medication or have conditions affected by vitamin K, talk to your healthcare team before you start. Fortified foods won't magically rebuild bone or reverse artery issues on their own, but they can play a supporting role alongside protein, resistance training, time outdoors for natural vitamin D, and consistent balanced eating. If you don't want fortified products, no problem. Combine modest portions of quality butter or ghee with a varied diet, and discuss targeted supplements with your provider if blood work suggests a deficiency. All right, brass tacks. How do you shop without feeling like you need a biochemistry degree? Use 3 quick filters. First, count the ingredients. For butter, cream, and salt, or cream, cultures, salt, are the sweet spot. Second, scan for words that suggest heavy processing in spreads you're tempted by. Lots of emulsifiers, starches, added sugars, or artificial flavors are signals to pause. Third, check the fats lineup. If a product trades on olive oil but lists water and seed oils before it, you're not buying what the front label implies. For everyday cooking, keep a small rotation. A cultured grass-fed butter for finishing and flavor, ghee for higher heat, and a true extra virgin olive oil for drizzling and low to medium heat cooking. Add nuts, seeds, and fatty fish to round out your fats, and you've got a pantry that supports both taste and health without gimmicks. Now let's put it on the plate. Picture breakfast, warm steel-cut oats topped with berries, and a pat of cultured butter melting into the oats, plus a sprinkle of ground flax or chia. You get fiber for your microbiome, fruit for antioxidants, and just enough fat to help absorb fat-soluble vitamins and keep you full. Lunch could be a big salad with beans or salmon, dressed with extra virgin olive oil and lemon, and a slice of whole grain bread with a thin spread of your homemade butter olive oil blend. Dinner, roasted vegetables tossed in a teaspoon of ghee to bring out caramelization, a piece of chicken or tofu, and a baked sweet potato, finished with a tiny dab of butter and cinnamon. Notice the pattern? We're not drowning anything in fat, but we're using small amounts strategically so food tastes wonderful and nutrients get where they need to go. If your doctor once told you, never butter, only margarine, and you're feeling tugged in 2 directions, here's a balanced way forward. Start with your personal numbers and priorities. Cholesterol profile, blood sugar control, bone density, digestive comfort, and overall weight goals. Then pick the smallest change that supports them. If LDL is your focus, add daily soluble fiber and keep your butter to measured teaspoons with meals. If blood sugar steadiness is priority one, avoid low-fat spreads with added starches that can hit fast, and pair real butter with protein and fiber. If digestion feels fragile, limit ultra-processed spreads with long additive lists and observe how your system responds to simpler fats. And if you're on medications that interact with vitamins D or K, loop your clinician in before choosing fortified products. You don't need to overhaul everything. Just nudge in the right direction and reassess how you feel in 2 to 4 weeks. Let's circle back to the gut lining teaser from the start, because it matters more than any single tub in your fridge. Your colon cells love short-chain fatty acids, especially butyrate, which your gut bacteria mostly make when you feed them fiber. Butter contains a small amount of butyrate, and cultured grass-fed options may bring a touch more flavor and some supportive compounds. But the real gut win comes from the combo: plants plus a little quality fat. That's practical, not magical. A roasted vegetable bowl finished with a teaspoon of ghee, a slice of whole grain toast with avocado and a swipe of cultured butter, lentil soup drizzled with olive oil. These everyday choices help your gut bacteria thrive, your digestion run smoother, and your energy stay stable. Instead of chasing exotic supplements, build meals that do double duty: fiber for the microbes, fat to help you absorb vitamins and feel satisfied, protein for strength. That's how walls get rebuilt, plate by plate. Worried about calories? Here's what works better than rules or guilt. Measure, don't guess. A teaspoon of butter is about the size of the tip of your thumb. A tablespoon looks like a poker chip in thickness and diameter. If you love a buttery flavor, finish the dish with it, rather than sautéing the entire recipe in large amounts. You'll taste it more and use less. Pair every use of butter or ghee with a fiber anchor: vegetables, legumes, whole grains, so your meal sticks with you. And remember, fats carry flavor. When food is satisfying, you snack less, you crave less, and you're less likely to search for something sweet at 9 p.m. It's not about deprivation, it's about strategy. Label literacy saves money and health. A few quick red flags: olive oil spread that lists other oils first, light versions with maltodextrin or several gums as top ingredients, long lists of stabilizers you wouldn't stock in a home kitchen, and products that promise the world for half the calories. Green flags, short ingredient lists, clarity about the fat source, transparent fortification amounts if vitamins are added. On storage, keep just what you'll use this week in your butter dish and the rest in the fridge to protect freshness. For olive oil, minimize air, light, and heat. Cap the bottle, use smaller bottles, and don't store above the stove. Small handling choices preserve quality, and quality means better taste and less waste. If joints, memory, and mood are top of mind, zoom out beyond the butter question. The best evidence for aging well points to patterns: lots of plants, adequate protein, movement that includes strength training, sleep, social connection, and yes, thoughtful use of fats. A teaspoon of cultured butter won't cure arthritis, and a smear of the wrong spread won't doom your brain, but day after day, patterns compound. Choose fats that help you build meals you want to eat. Choose portions you can maintain. Choose methods, like finishing with butter, cooking with ghee, and drizzling with olive oil, that bring out the best in your food. That's the quiet, dependable way to protect your heart, steady your mind, and keep your body doing the things you love. For those managing cholesterol numbers with their clinicians, here's a practical compromise that often works well. Keep your saturated fat intake moderate by measuring portions of butter and ghee, and lean on olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fish for the majority of your fats. Add daily soluble fiber, 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed, a bowl of oats, a serving of beans, and prioritize colorful produce. If plant sterile spreads are part of your plan, use them intentionally and time your fat-soluble vitamins with other meals. Recheck your numbers after a few consistent weeks. Many people discover they can keep butter in their life in small amounts without derailing goals when the rest of the pattern supports heart health. Traveling or eating out. Bring your approach with you. Ask for sauces and butter on the side so you decide the amount. If a restaurant cooks everything in seed oils and you're sensitive, choose grilled, baked, or steamed options and finish with a small pat of butter at the table. Order sides of vegetables and whole grains, and use a measured bit of fat to make them satisfying. If breakfast comes with a mountain of spread, start with half and see how it tastes. You can always add, but you can't subtract. Your goal isn't perfection, it's consistency with flexibility. One meal doesn't make or break your health, but habits turn into outcomes. Keep your compass pointed towards simple, satisfying, and minimally processed. I know some of you carry stories of being scolded about butter or scared by headlines about oils. Let's retire the shame. Food is a relationship, and at this stage of life, we want a calm, steady partnership. That looks like a small toolkit you trust. A cultured grass-fed butter for finishing, ghee for higher heat, extra virgin olive oil for drizzling, and a pantry full of plants. It looks like measuring rather than guessing, tasting rather than drowning, finishing rather than frying, and choosing labels that match what the front of the package promises. It looks like using fat as a way to bring you back to the table with joy, not as a way to numb stress. That's a healthier heart and a happier brain right there. So, where does this leave you today? Open your fridge. If you've got a tub that reads like a chemistry set, decide whether it's serving you. If you've been leaning hard on low-fat stand-ins and still feel peckish or foggy, try swapping in a measured pat of the real thing alongside more fiber and protein. If your spreads trade on olive oil without delivering it, make your own in 5 minutes with butter and true extra virgin olive oil. If someone is pushing raw dairy on you, remember that safety comes first for our age group. Choose pasteurized cultured options instead. And if your doctor is managing your cholesterol, use the tools that work for you in concert. Fiber, movement, sleep, and fats you can live with long-term. I'd love to hear from you. What's your biggest health focus right now? Steady energy, joint comfort, brain clarity, cholesterol, or something else? And which small swap from today's video feels most doable in your kitchen? Have you ever tried cultured butter or ghee, and did it change how you felt about vegetables, whole grains, or your morning routine? Your story might be the nudge someone else needs to trade a confusing tub for simple, satisfying food. And remember the guiding principle here. Eat in a way that helps you show up for the life you want. A little butter, used well, can absolutely be part of that.